Welcome everyone to this week's Meditech Musings, and thank you very much Mitzi and Aida, our case managers from Meditech Staffing, who have joined us today. And today is a new day with new scenarios, and I've been posting them up onto the Facebook group. So we're just going to go through those scenarios. And some people have been very proactive and giving us some answers in the Facebook group, which is fantastic to see. So well done, Shane and Carolyn, for your participation. But now it's to put these scenarios forward and get some feedback from both Aida and Mitzi as to what they recommend the best approach would be for each of these scenarios. Okay, so starting with Lewis and Mary. So we've focused a lot on disability support this week. And in this scenario, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Lewis, there's been an incident in the shared TV room. He's sitting on a couch with another resident, Mary. Lewis was teasing Mary while she was watching her show. Mary expressed annoyance and asked him to stop. He told Lewis to stop teasing as it was upsetting Mary. Lewis continued to tease Mary until she began yelling at him and calling him rude. Another support worker interfered and spoke to Mary to calm her down. You told Lewis to get up and move to another table. Before you could separate them, though, Mary threw the TV remote and hit Lewis in the face. Lewis then threatened to hit Mary back, so it was escalating. And you and the other support workers separated the two and brought them to different rooms in the community centre. You asked Lewis if he was hurt and checked him for injuries. There was no evidence of a mark on his face, and he expressed that he was not hurt. But when you asked him why did he provoke Mary, he responded that he was just having fun. Okay, so the question, this one, is that you need to fill out a workplace incident report. What are the 6 important details here in this scenario? So I'll just give you a moment to think about that.
Quick question regarding this.
Yes.
Now, is the scenario for a disability support worker from the facility, or for example, like one of our support workers that goes and works in a facility?
One of our support workers who would end up working in a community centre as a disability support worker.
And because I guess then there may be a need then to write 2 incident reports.
Oh, okay. So
one for the facility,
right?
So one within the framework of the facility that they may actually have to do, and one for us.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So one for your employer, Meditech Staffing. Correct. And one for the community centre. So that might be the same in a residential aged facility then as well.
Yeah, it could be. It depends on the facility. I'm just bringing that up because last year I had an incident with one of our support staff at a facility that was assaulted by a resident.
Wow, okay.
So the incident report had to be done in the facility and also one filed with us.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. And thank you, Mitzi. Any other first comments, Aida?
No, well, from what I can.
Oh, we've just lost you. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, what are the 6 points that you think? Yeah.
Well, the basic information of what has happened, where and when, we have everything that has to be documented, even if Louis informed that he has not been, if there's no sign or marks on his face from Mary throwing the remote, it should still be documented that has happened. And obviously then discuss with Louis how having fun is not exactly a professional attitude or behavior to have, in particularly when having a client that has expressed annoyance at his behavior or at his making fun of her. Because it seems that he said that he was having fun, that already gives some information, but he could have had that behavior without the intention of actually annoying the client, and that is also a sort of information or sort of education that you can have with the support workers. Sometimes your attitude or behavior is well intended, however is perceived differently from a client's perspective. So, and that is, we can't expect people to know that. You can't expect someone with good intentions to have the other side of the behavior in a way that they find puzzling themselves. So you have to have that discussion and information and education, basically, to say this is a two-way conversation. What you have, how you have behaved and acted is actually interpreted differently from the other side. And I can honestly say that that has happened in all sorts of situations, not just support workers and clients, but us ourselves, with the clients. And that is what I mean, using this example as a positive way, or in a positive way, to actually educate and help people to understand different perspective and different understandings in communication.
Yes, and I think the important point is here that humour doesn't necessarily translate well.
Yes.
What you find funny, the next person doesn't. So yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
And I think Lewis is a client in this community centre as well. So you talked about the 6 important details to include in their workplace report. I think, thanks for the important information about how to provide that feedback to Lewis. I think that's really relevant as well. So you talked about you need to list what happened, where it happened, what time it happened. Yep. That's 3 things. Anything else we want to add to the workplace report?
I would possibly, as a precaution, get the nurse on duty at the facility to check Lewis over.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
to be
because
sure,
even though there may be no apparent injury, something could come out later, and it needs to be recorded that it was checked by a professional.
Yeah, if possible. I agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Good. And what about Mary? What do you think you could do with Mary or for Mary?
Yeah, I would obviously support the client or Mary trying to explain how the same thing in the communication. So try to explain to Mary, maybe that's not, Lewis didn't mean to upset her. And it seems to be there was somebody else who was there trying to help her. Who was a second support person by the
I think it would be important to also talk to Mary and gauge why she reacted that way. What is going on with her? Is there anything else bothering her?
Yeah.
Is there a precedent prior to this incident with Lewis?
Yep.
Yes, right. So do a bit of exploring. Okay, fantastic.
So do a little bit of detective work as well, because there's always 3 sides to a story, not 2. There's always 3 sides.
3 sides, yes, makes it hard.
So
congratulations to Shane, who put in their time of incident. He's added people involved, of course, staff involved. So clients involved, staff involved, where it happened, the details and the resolution details, which is what you've been both talking to. So that's spot on, Shane. Well done. Carolyn put in here, she would have it signed off by the manager, include any witnesses and the date.
Okay.
Yeah. So important for witnesses, do you think, as well, as per Carolyn's feedback?
I think so.
Yeah. If there is one available, it's always good to have another pair of eyes.
Yeah. So what we're saying is case managers suggest checking on both Lewis and what was her name?
Mary
individually.
Yep.
Making sure Lewis is okay. Does he need the RN to have a look? Also, explore why Mary reacted so violently, angrily. Yeah.
Establish whether there was a precedent prior, there were issues between the 2 residents.
Yeah.
That occurred prior to this event. So it's really, in this situation, it's not just reporting, is it? I mean, these 6 steps and the 6 bits of vital information that must be in the incident report, very important. But as support workers, you've got to make sure each of your clients are okay. Is Lewis okay? Lewis, is your eye okay? The conversation about not having, this is not appropriate communication and the explanation about humour not translating well, and then with Mary to find out, you know, why she acted the way she did and what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there more to this story?
Yeah.
And I'll also say case managers also suggested that you would need to do 2 workplace incident reports.
Yeah.
One for the community centre in this instance and one for Meditech staffing. I think that's a really interesting point too, as you are responsible to report to both parties.
Yeah. It would also depend on the policy of the facility.
Depending on organisation policies, procedures. Okay, excellent. Case study 1 done. Beautiful. Any other comments on that one before we move on?
No.
No? Okay. Righty, next one. Next one's Matilda, 23 years old. She'd been involved in an accident that left her with a fractured femur. She had undergone surgery to repair her bone. The doctor had advised her that it would take 4 to 6 months for her to recover. She wears a leg brace or an immobiliser and is currently receiving individualised support at home to help her in her activities for her ADLs while she recovers. So list 2 examples of support practices you can utilise to support Matilda in this scenario. How do you support someone with a fractured femur? Within the scope of a support worker, remembering, we're not an RN, we're a support worker.
I think possibly one thing, Matilda being so young, one of the things that the support worker I think would be really important to do is just check on her mental health.
Oh yeah, yes.
If she's mobile and, you know, often goes out, the limited mobility, you know, is isolating her at home. How is she coping with that? Are there any activities that the support worker could help her continue to do?
Yeah, so asking her what help does she need? Yeah. Checking in on her mental health. Yeah. Thank you.
So being person-centered. So obviously we have a care plan, what we've been told we need to do, but it's also very important that you check with the participant, what is it that they need? What's going to make a difference in their day while the worker is supporting them.
So check on Matilda's mental health and seek input from Matilda on what help she wants. So that's sort of empowering her rather than coming in saying, I'm going to do this, that and the other for you. What help does she need? Yeah.
The NDIS is all about client choice and empowering the participant. So
from a practical, sorry.
Go ahead, Ada.
So from a practical point of view, what I can see is that Matilda wears a leg brace and immobilizer. I would think in terms of, this is after obviously mental health is more important, but in terms of practical matters, do we have the PPE correct to protect the leg from a shower or something like that? So it is a bit vague. I don't know if would be providing a shower, would we providing, it depends on the services that we are actually providing. I'm just having a practical point of view. Will the client need help in those terms, in terms of protecting the leg brace, immobilizer? So it seems that while she recovers, she's recovering. So I would look at in those points, like would she have the available items to assist the support workers with her, with the services basically that we'll be providing.
So does the client have the necessary equipment she is going to need during her 4 to 6 months rehabilitation? Because it's quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Rehabilitation. So
I'll answer that one. So she more than likely, if she has had surgery, which she has in a hospital, she would have had to have been reviewed by an OT before she was allowed to go home.
Excellent.
So that's part of hospital policies.
So
that would more than likely.
Go ahead.
So that would come out in her care plan. Like all care plans, it would have like the goals and care that's needed for her, like what she needs. And I would say more than likely Matilda's young, 23,
Yeah.
that it would mainly just be supervising her, not even, I would say, assistance in the shower. I would say she would have a shower chair. She's young. It would mainly just be as support.
Yeah. Standby assistance.
Standby
Yeah.
assistance, I like that. And it always check the care plan. The OT
Yeah.
would have documented and explained what equipment and support Matilda needed. Yeah, needs.
Yeah.
And that last one, sorry, was
Standby assistance. Is that what you?
standby. I like this term, Aida. What is it? Standby assistance.
Yeah, that's when we encourage the person to do as much as they can. Standby means you only help when you can, or if the person is in danger, you know.
I like this term. Standby assistance, only help when you have when the client asks you to, yeah?
Yeah.
Request assistance. So you're on standby.
Yeah.
Be on standby. I like it. Okay, that's a beauty. Excellent. Carolyn has said correctly, be a listening ear. Yeah, she probably is sick of herself, sick of her inability. She might be wanting to talk about the accident, you know, so just be that listening ear, let her get it out. Assist with bathing and showering if required, yeah? Assist with the bracer mobiliser if necessary. Perhaps does she want to get out and about? Does she need a wheelchair? Does she need support to go and do a shopping, just to go down the park, get some fresh air or whatever, you know, or meet a friend for coffee or whatever. Always look at the domestic tasks as necessary and read the detailed care plan. So fantastic feedback there. Well done, everybody. Thank you. Any comments before we move on to the next one? No, we're going well, guys. Thank you so much for coming today. Next scenario, Sam, a refugee, fled his country where terrorists have recently bombed. Sam's developed PTSD and anxiety and depression arising from the PTSD. So what are some support practices you would utilise to support Sam in this situation? Carolyn has said approach with caution. He has sensitivity on many levels due to his trauma. Show a lot of empathy and, as always, a listening ear. Always great advice from Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn. What else, guys?
Also going back to person-centered care, if always thinking, you know, if the worker that is there has built a rapport with him or the case manager, maybe ask Sam, what are some trigger words that, you know, he doesn't want used? What are some actions that, you know, we should be careful of doing? Try and find out exactly what would make him go back to that experience that caused him the PTSD.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously going to read the care plan. I mean, it goes
obviously reading the care plan.
And it might even, the trigger words, I've seen that in care plans, trigger words, then they probably would be listed and trigger actions. So it goes without saying. So thanks for that, Mitzi. Always provide person-centered care. And can you just explain person-centered care for me? Anyone?
It's just involving the person in every aspect of their care. By asking the questions, okay, so this is what the hospital is recommending and this is my scope of what I need to do. What is it that you would like out of this service? What do you hope to achieve? You know?
That's person-centered care literally says what it is. The person is the centre of the care. So what they choose and what they want is what we adhere to.
Yeah, beautiful. I like that. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm not sure if there's scope to recommending, obviously, a professional psychological or help, because post-traumatic stress is a heavy subject that we can't just expect the support workers to have all the answers. It's, you know, it can be a quite heavy professional clinical situations that we need someone to get involved. Obviously, I know it's hard to get the scope of the whole situation until a professional gets involved. I'm talking about counseling and psychiatrists or psychologists.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
not sure.
obviously the support staff that we would send to someone like this would have to have specialized training to be able to identify
And
situations.
which I think it is a bit above what we are expecting from a support workers. You know, I've got a diploma that is in mental health, and it took me 3 years to do the diploma. I don't think that is part of a subject from a support worker.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So work within the scope of the support worker role and responsibilities. So I like that. I like that. And work within your scope. I'm just going to say case managers advise this is a complex condition.
Yeah.
Remind support workers to work within the scope of their job roles.
Yes.
And the training they've been given. Yeah.
Yes.
They have been given. We do have an e-learning on trauma-informed care. So there's a free course, free module on that. Okay. So you could seek training. So, you know, speak to the case manager, speak to Meditech staffing. Is there any, you know, just to be informed? It doesn't mean you're going to be their number one mental health advisor, but you're going to have more knowledge about trauma-informed care. Yeah.
Yes.
And that can't hurt. So it really is an opportunity for a support worker to learn more about supporting complex cases.
Absolutely.
And we cover this a lot in our certificate 4 in disability support. We've got a lot of units that cover complex needs and the support required and the care required for complex care management, including a unit on trauma-informed care. So if they really want to get into this, the Cert 4 disability support is there for them. So, you know, always the same, refer to the care plan, refer to your job role. If in doubt, seek support. Yeah?
Yeah.
Seek support from Meditech staffing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Lovely. Read the care plan. We can't harp on that.
I think it's also really important for support staff to recognise the limitations. And if they're given a client like this and they're not confident that they can cope with something like that, speak up. So I'm not prepared. I don't have the training, or, you know.
Yes. And speak up. I think you keep saying this, Mitzi, every week. Speak up. If in doubt, ask.
Exactly, right? Because nothing's going to change if these issues are not brought to light.
That's correct. And they're brought to light through communication, and it's through this feedback from the field staff coming back saying, I've got a client, Sam, there's nothing on his support plan about PTSD, and he's told me this, that, and the other thing, you know, maybe we need to get mental health support for him, you know, and psychologist or whoever. Or if it is in his care plan, it doesn't look like, you know, he's seeing a psychologist regularly or something, you know, just whatever, you know, any concerns, feed it back. Yeah.
And by asking questions, you know, it gives other people the opportunity to also learn something new.
So true. Yeah. So true. And that's your responsibility, isn't it? To try and advocate the best you can for your client. Yeah. Within your scope. Yeah. You need to speak up. That's great. Any comments before we move on? Okay, I think we're moving to the last one. I think it is the last one. Yes, Belinda, an ABI, acquired brain injury from an accident at work. Due to the injury, she has been experiencing frequent migraines and difficulties in balancing her body and coordinating her movements. Support workers come to her home on a schedule to provide individualised support. What are some good support practices for Belinda? Carolyn has said, depending on her care plan, as to what support needs to be given. A listening ear never goes astray. As far as the headaches and migraines, documenting each episode. Yeah, I think that's very important. Ask for further support from case manager to alert her GP to manage an increase or a change in her condition. I think that's Carolyn's spot on there again, which is fantastic.
The support staff also to maybe be mindful to when they are to arrive at Belinda's home, maybe do not just wipe the curtains open and let, you know, the shining light come in, because they may trigger pain or the migraine. Speak in a soft voice.
They're good. Yeah. Monitor excessive lighting.
Lighting, noises.
Excessive noises. shutting curtains.
Yeah. If Belinda's got
Windows.
balance problems and they're assisting her to get up from the bed or a couch, just always remind her, just do it slowly, do it in stages. Don't just spring up and start walking. Stand by just in case.
I think also checking, has her care plan been reviewed if she's just been experiencing the headaches and the migraines? Like, have we reviewed it to find out why?
Yeah.
Like, if all of a sudden she started to experience the headaches and migraines, is there a reasoning behind it?
Her headaches and migraines are increasing.
And on the progress notes as well during the service, write detailed notes and factual. Today's service, Belinda had more episode of losing her balance, her headache, are more frequent, or just document all the changes.
Yep. And letting the case manager know
if there's a change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's the last one, ladies. That's pretty good. We did well. It's probably only 20 minutes, but that's all right. We encourage people to watch these. I think 20 to 30 minutes is the maximum that most people have time to watch anyway. And it's good to see more participation in the group as well. So thanks to Carol and Shane for your activity. Hopefully we'll get some more comments during the week. I actually had a poll. If you don't mind the vertigo, I'll just scroll down. Oh, here we go, Lucille. This one was a bit obvious, actually, but she's an 82-year-old woman with poor memory. She suffers from confusion, relies on the family. You're one of her support workers. But during a visit, you notice bruises on her arms, and she doesn't remember how she got them. So later on in the day, during a discussion with Lucille, she mentions that she gave her money and credit cards to her grandson to look after. She wanted to look after her own money, but she says her grandson became angry when she told him no, so she gave in. Oh, we've got some, heard this one before, have we?
He's going shopping.
It's
financial abuse, I think
it's a minefield.
It's a minefield, is it? So it's quite common, is it?
Restricted
and it's
practices.
very delicate. It's very delicate to know the balance between what we hear and how much we can get ourselves involved in. I find it particularly difficult because the family is the one there, and to have evidence of abuse is very difficult. If we start, accusing people, we have to make sure that we have evidence, because it can backfire. And sometimes what we can see as abuse could be, as we discussed before, could be someone trying to grab someone from crossing the street, and you get a bruise on your arm. And how do we make the judgment in between one of the other? I have, from my personal experience of many years in the industry, I've been beaten up with a walking stick from holding someone from crossing the street. And if I had not to hold someone, a car would come, and this was an incident report. I got a bruise and that was fine, but I was just working. If someone from the family had been accused, so it is a very delicate, fine line. Have to be very.
And that is the key aspect of documentation and progress notes, because if we document and you see a continual, see this continually pattern, then you've got the documentation to follow it up.
Yeah, and look, if one of my support staff mentions something like this, I would look at the client when the last visit was made by the case manager to them. I would possibly just do a client follow-up, contact their family representative, go and have a talk face-to-face, gauge an idea of what's happening, and ask the questions, so have you noticed anything, changing with mum? How's she managing her finance? Is anyone looking after them? So asking questions without accusing, and then continue to document.
Sounds like it's a case manager response, though, those asking those questions.
Yes.
Would I be right in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does
Yes.
the support worker have to do? Wait and see? Sit back and wait and see?
No, report straight away
No,
any
report,
concerns.
Report,
Yeah,
document and
absolutely.
report. Yeah. So
Yes.
when that says report, document and report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you confront the grandson?
No,
Goodness, no.
I wouldn't. No.
And in the reports, you know, it has to be factual.
Yeah.
Not what
and
you think, is what you saw,
Yeah.
what you
issue.
heard,
That is,
not
and it's
what you were
quite, is this
told.
quite commonplace? Is that what I'm hearing? This is a common problem?
It
Often
can
enough.
happen.
You find that if family take over financial control, that it can happen. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So financial abuse can be a problem to be on the lookout for, but don't intervene. Document and report.
Yeah.
Document and report to
Yeah.
the case manager for them to explore. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Explore further. But I like what you said. You know, just observe patterns of behaviour. Yeah.
Yes.
As a support worker, observe repetitious patterns of behaviour of concern. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And repetitious, I can't spell. Thank goodness. There we go. Repetitious patterns of behaviour for concern, and put these in your progress notes.
Yeah, and you know, we always have to be
email.
very can't think of the word, but what's not right for someone, it may be right for someone else. So, you know, we have to be very what's the word? Unbiased?
Oh yes, okay. Yep.
Is that the word?
Objective.
Yeah, you have to be objective, because you know what someone's behaviors and things that they do is okay for them, it may not be okay for you. So you just have to be very objective in the way you report, what you document, and how you document it.
So be objective. There's 3 sides to every story. That's how we started today's conversation.
Yeah,
That's how
you
we're
got to
going to
leave
end
personal
it. Yeah.
feelings aside and just be
Yes.
objective.
Be objective. So yes, don't form judgments. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great advice, guys. Really great advice. I think this has been a great session. We've given some really, what it seems like, some realistic scenarios there for the field workers to listen to today, and to listen to your expertise and feedback and recommendations on how to handle these situations. So thank you so much. Thank you, Aida. It's great to see you. It's lovely to have another case manager here. Thank you, Fiona, for coming. And as always, thank you, Mitzi. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day.
You
Thanks,
too. Thanks,
Leanne.
Leanne.
Thanks, Mitzi. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.